Welcome, everyone. I see several of you out there remembered that today was Odd Monday. Kind of interesting because last week was Odd Monday and I couldn't do the event. And then because of being the 31st and then the 1st, we end up with another Odd Monday right away. So we can kind of make up for what we missed last week. So today is kind of going to be a little bit of a lot of odd stuff. So we're going to have fun today with several templates that you may already own. If you don't, they're probably ones that you want to get. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do cross hatching the easy way. Now, I drew this on here as if this was going to be a pocket for a bag that I'm making. Okay, so it's bigger around the edge, which we're going to call the margin. If I wanted to, I could go ahead and I could just cut it off so that I had about an inch around all the way around, and I could work with that. But I'm going to leave it so that I've got all the rest of this that I can work with later this evening. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the middle down here. This is 8.5 inches across. So I'm going to mark it at 4 1/4. So there's the middle. And then I'm going to take my crosshair square. And if I wanted it to be on the 45-degree angle, so in other words, these would meet in here at 45 degrees, I would draw that line and this line. But I want it to be more of the diamond shape. So I'm going to line that up on the center, line this up, and I'm going to draw these two. So what I need to do now is just extend them to the edge. The reason I have this margin on here is because I can do this much faster if I don't have to stop every time. So I will go out in the margin to do what we call travel. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take this, put that foot down, put that needle down. It doesn't really matter in this case that I bring my thread up because I know my machine's not going to eat my bobbin thread or anything like that. I'm then going to put this in place, my ruler, and get my spacing gauge, which was so conveniently taking a trip on me. Here we go. So I'm going to lay that right beside there, get my 1/4 inch, and I'm going to stitch. Whoa, Donelle, you got to set it for ruler work. That was quite interesting. Glad it was right at the edge. Much better. And when I get down here, I'm going to measure it again since I let go of my ruler. And I need to get onto this other line. So this is where I'm saying I'm just kind of traveling out in the margin. So I'm going to turn this just so you can see it. And I'm going to measure that 1/4 inch again. And we will go right on this line. So what I've established is my two angles. So I am doing this, and I wish I could tell you what exact angle that is, 135, I think. But what I'm going to do is I am going to do these so that these lines are 3/4 inch apart. Now I could take a ruler like this, and every single time I could measure so that this is on the 1/2 inch, 1/4, 1/2, and then this being a 1/4 inch, that would put it right there. So that now, with that 1/2 inch mark on my ruler and the 1/4 inch in my foot, those marks are 3/4 inch apart. But if you've never used what we call our echo guides, I'm going to show you how easy that is to use. So we have one for a 1/2 inch. We have one for a whole inch. And I just put these on one of these silicone bars so that they're on a magnet, and I can just hook up right up here to the light above my machine, and they're always where I need them to be. So I've got the 1/4 or the 3/4 inch off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slightly raise my needle, and I'm going to raise that foot and put that right underneath there, and that will pick up. So now I have a bigger footprint. And this just makes it so easy to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch back. Remember, I'm outside my margin. I'm going to wait till this lines up with my line. I'm going to set my ruler right on that line. And now when I stitch, I will be 3/4 of an inch away from the line. Stitch out in the margin until that touches the edge, and back we come. Because you already have your built-in measure there that you can guide by. Out in the margin here, and that's the last one on that side. Well, rather than going all the way around, I am just going to cut that thread. I'm out in the margin. Remember, I'm making like a pocket piece, and I'm just going to come right up here, set that down, line that up, put that needle in place, and stitch again. Out in the margin, line up with my line I just stitched. So now I'm going to start seeing those diamonds take shape. Echo guides are not expensive at all, but they're worth their weight in gold, and they will fit many types of ruler work feet. Now I'm going to show you on those discs when you can read it. So like right there, you can see it says 0.5. That's for the 1/2 inch. That's the top, and the opening up here is a little bit larger than the opening on the bottom. So if you put it on from this side and you've got your foot clear down in and it wants to slip off, turn it over and try it from this angle and see if it stays on. If that doesn't work, take a piece of tape and put it on the back side. Remember, this is the one that's, see, there's the one. If it's going to fall off of this and it fell off of this, then putting that tape on there and then just taking an X-Acto knife and scoring a plus in there and pushing that in will fill space. If that doesn't fill enough space to keep it on your foot, put another piece of tape. Cut a plus in it with an X-Acto knife and then push that down in there. And that's a little way that you can get it to fit your foot if it's not going to fit the regular way. But I've used these on a lot of different ruler work feet, and they have been just fine with one of those methods right there. So let's just go back. We're out in the margin. I'm lining up. And you can get this ruler if you haven't. This is a ruler I designed. It's available on my website, or it's available from Sew Study. But it just makes it so easy to be able to quickly do that cross hatching. So I've got this side done. So I need to turn this around. And I still use my ruler, even though I really don't need it out in the margin, just because I kind of like to have straight lines. I don't know why. And now I've got it lined up right there to go back this way. And I can tell you, I can do this faster than I could do this with like just regular straight stitching or even using a walking foot. And I think you can see why, because the measurements are just built right in. Whoa, got off there. Now I'll bet you when I get finished with this, you'll not even be able to notice that. And you can draw on there whatever angles you want for your cross hatching. I just showed you how I use my crosshair square to get those angles. And it just makes it a whole lot easier to have something to go from to start with. So if you don't have echo guides, that would be something I would put on my wish list. This is the last one here, but I need to go to finish this up this way. Out in that border. I can remember the first time I didn't think about the traveling thing, and every single time I was stopping at the edge, cutting my thread, moving, starting again. Oh my goodness, the time I wasted. I may have one here, I may not. We'll see. Yeah, it's just barely in the corner. But I think you can see that once this was done, that little spot right there really doesn't show up that much. And then all you would have to do would be to take your rotary cutter and cut that piece out if that's your pocket. Or maybe you put the pocket piece on here now and draw again to make sure it hasn't changed size or anything like that. And it's going to make it so much easier for you to do that cross hatching. And cross hatching can really be a lot of fun because now you could go back, and if you have an embroidery machine, you could embroider right over this. So your background is already quilted for you, and then you do your embroidery on here. So maybe you have a set of like nursery rhymes, or maybe you have a set of zoo animals or teddy bears or something like that, and you wanted to do something in the background and you didn't know what would be quick, you could do these pieces like this and then go ahead and embroider right on top of those. So no, it's not an add or quarter ruler. Let's see who said that. Kelly. It is our what we call centering ruler. Turn it right side up here. And it has regular numbering this way, and you can see through for the 1/4 inches. And on this side, it has a 0 in the center, and this makes it great for being able to line up your border motifs or anything like that where you need to work from like center out. So that's a great question. Okay. What is the attachment? I think you're probably talking about this, and that is called the echo guides. I'm so sorry. I'm losing it myself. So this is called the echo guide. All right. So now what I want to show you is what I have been playing with recently and having a lot of fun. And that is using my feather spine is what it's called. And I'm using it as a guide to use some of my other templates in a border. So let's just create our little border right here. I'm going to draw it. So we're going to say that this is our border. I'll come down here and make my other line. And what I want to do is I am going to put a line through here that, let's just say, waves. So I've got that line. I'm turning this around. I'm going to line it up and then draw that other half down there. Now, I am not stitching on that. I am using that as a guide. And in this case, I am going to use my 1 inch between the lines template. Now, this is a circle that will be 1 inch. And you'll notice there's lines on it. You can get this as a set called Between the Lines, or you can get it as a set called Simple Circles. I suggest you get the one called Between the Lines because it gives you more markings. It's virtually the same thing, but it has the lines so that you can do a lot of different things with it. So this is called Between the Lines. This is the 1 inch circle. So you'll notice I lined that up and this up. And when you do consecutive circles, in other words, more than one, you're going to do it 1.5 times because you don't want to stop at the end of every circle and tie it off. Okay? Now, when we did that, we did the left side twice. I'm going to move this up so it's right at my needle, line that up. This time I'm going to go on the right side. I'm going to move it up and line it up and go on this side. And you're going to continue following that curve that you made. So you're filling in your border, but it's not just a straight line. Now I have done this with my 2 inch circle, or yes, my 2 inch circle that came in the sampler set. But you would need a little bit wider border than I drew here, because right where we're at right now, that circle would have overlapped my border. So you have to have enough space allowed to do that. And you can do it with more than just the circles. You can do it with other shapes too. Oops, start talking, then I forget what I'm doing. Went the wrong way first. Oops, go back that way. And this just goes rather quickly. And I was talking to somebody last week who has a little one, and they are in love with, what is it, Hungry Caterpillar? What is it, Megan? What's the caterpillar? It's Hungry Hungry Hippo, and then there's a very hungry caterpillar. And can't you just see how much fun this would be on a border of a quilt or something that you were making for that? So let me just go ahead and cut this so you can see what is going on right there. Now, if you wanted more fun in this, you could actually then stitch by your ruler. And if you decide to do that, what I recommend you do, in this case, I lined it up at the bottom, but if I had been like right there, I would have wanted to make a mark here and here so I would know where I was. In this case, I've lined it up with the bottom, so I'm just going to move up here. And then I can actually stitch and when I get down there, I would turn it around, line it up like I did before, make sure I'm doing the same thing. To follow that line. So you can see how you can then encase that. Obviously, you could do the same thing on this side down here. If you're going to do this, I do recommend, like I mentioned there a second ago, that you mark where your lines are here. This is already marked. That's not. Now it is. And then that way, when you go to line this up, you'll know exactly where you are so that you can stitch. I don't know if this is the same distance. I don't think it is. Let me get it back here so I can stitch that part for you. So for the I'm a little bit farther than I wanted to be away from that, but you get the idea. You can do a lot with this particular template, and it's called the 1.5 inch spine. And I'm not sure, other than the fact that it's usually done, you know, with the feathers, but I'm using it in a lot of different ways. And I think it's a lot of fun to be able to do those different lines. So let me show you if I pulled this back and lined it up right like this. We would get 2 lines 1/4 inch apart. So how fun is that? So much opportunity with your different sizes of circles, with your different templates that you have. So that's been a lot of fun playing with that particular template. And it's one that most people overlook when they buy their feathers. They're like, oh, I'm not ready for curves yet. I can't do that. But there's a lot you can do with it. So that would be one I would recommend. Now I'm going to show you another thing I can do with that, or have been doing with that. And you want to, again, remember this is chalk that's going to iron off. So what's it matter how much you mark here? And I'm going to flip this around. And you'll see that that lines up that way. Make a mark here and here. Now this time I am going to sew, and I can't seem to find my heart, so I'm going to use a star. I know the heart is somewhere here, but not right here. So I am going to start right here on this edge. So I need to move that back. And I'm going to sew just a little bit. I'm going to take this away. I'm going to lift this up and bring my star in. And I'm going to make a star. Now this particular star is from the Starry Nights collection, but we have a lot of stars in a lot of different sizes. So I line this back up where I started, right down here. I stitch a little bit more, and I'm going to have one going out the other way. Lift this up, come back through, and you can see how I can get such a nice wide border that I'm creating as I go. We'll put this one coming down. Again, it does not have to come straight down. You could have it coming this way, whatever you want. And obviously you could use your hearts. I'm going to show you now. Isn't that fun? Now let me measure that so you can see. That's a 1.5 inch star. No, it's a 2-inch star from side to side, 2 inches. So that whole border is about 5 inches wide the way I have it. So if you had a 5-inch wide border, it would work perfect for that. Or you could adjust the size of what you're making on there and not make such a large star. So now what I'm going to do, important to line up, you guys, I'm going to come down here and show you how you could do one of the flowers. So I'm going to do the littlest one. So I'm going to take that out. And I'm going to do, now I could take the time to mark that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to do a 6-pointed one. The thing you have to remind yourself is flowers aren't always exactly perfect. I'm not saying that to change your thinking, but so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to raise this foot so that I can take this out. And if I was making these as I went along, get into my toy box here. And I will tell you why it's a good thing to invest in the mini crosshairs, because this one is the 8-point that we already have 8 points, because most of you have an 8-point. That's the one I started with, like this. But you may not have a 6 or a 5. And they're the ones that kind of make your flowers look really unique. So what I'm going to show you is you can always mark these 6 points and then make them longer. So investing in these are $24 for the 3 of them. They're not only great for having for your cornerstones and your smaller things, but like I said, you don't have to invest in the bigger ones. So if I know I'm doing this, I could always mark one ahead. All right, so I'm going to be stitching down this line. So when I take, that's going to be where I'm coming to. And here's my template. So I'm going to go ahead and put this foot down. I've got my mark there. Oops, I didn't put my foot down. I got my mark there so I can line up to get my line. Stitch over to the next spot. And now it won't be so much guesswork like the other one was. And just for fun, let's do the bigger one. So now the only thing I have to remember is I've got a line on there that's my vine, so to speak. I don't want to stitch on that. This is why I wanted to do a class called Odd Monday, because it's just a lot of little odd things that will extend the use of your templates and make it more fun for you without so much greater investment. So here we are at the center of this flower, opening this up. Obviously, I'm getting close to my end here, but I can still line up so that I can stitch on to where the next flower would be. So let's just pull that back so we can take a look at it. So I showed you how you could just do your stars kind of dancing along there. You could put stars on both sides. You could put a star coming this way and that way. You can put them closer together. You can do whatever you want. But playing with this vine and then being able to, like right now, this would have been here. I would have drawn my crosshair square or my crosshair lines so that I would have had them ready for the next one. But that one didn't turn out looking too bad, just like it is there. I really have a lot of fun with those curves because I'm not a free motioner, and I like to add a little, let's just say, rhythm to what I'm doing, and that works really well with that. Now, another template that I use sometimes to get my little border thing going on there is the Spinifex 4. And the Spinifex 4 is one that obviously comes with your basic starter set. So let me just use my straight edge here to draw a line. And this is a fun one. I'm going to just show you how I play with it. Let's see. It goes this way, Donelle. Okay, so right here at this one, I am going to use my 5 point. No, that's my 6. There's my 5, right at the beginning. And I don't want it to interfere with the line I drew, so I kind of like work away from that. All right, let's get that same one just because I've got it out and it's handy. And we're going to start with that. Of course, I would be pulling these threads up and everything, but this is not going to be something that enters any fair, so we're going to come to the next one. So that's a pretty 5 from the mini, and this happens to be the Spinifex 3. And then I'm going to take this template here. That's the Spinifex 4. And I'm just going to go out of the top, and I know it cuts through the flower, but I'm going to stop right there, flip it around, and this time do the bottom. And then I would take this out and I would do another flower right there. And you're probably thinking, yeah, but you can't mark it, Donelle. That's right. And that's what I'm going to show you here is I now can look at this. I could have drawn it out on paper, but I can do this right here. And I can see that it's 3.5 inches between those marks. So I can go down to the next one and mark it 3.5 inches. So I could easily put that grid on there. So I can take my 5-point grid. Why do I keep picking up my 6-point? Because you got too much stuff out, Donelle. So we're going to put that right in that spot. And I may not even want one where I'm at right now. Did I get all 5 lines? Well, kind of. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and draw another, stitch another one of these. So I'm going to go up there first, flip it around. Wow, that went a lot farther than 3.5 inches. Somehow I've measured wrong. Oh well. I'll still do it there. So there's the center spot. And I'm going to come back with the smaller one and put it in between there. But first, let's do a big one here. Ignore my lines. It's not exact, but you get the idea. And then we can put a little one right there. So if you've measured correctly, which I don't know how I messed up, because it really probably should be 4. I don't know, it's not. Interesting, it's 3.5, but 3.5 did not compute correctly. So anyway, do your measuring, draw it out, but this gives you another one of those. I mean, I can almost see a bee buzzing like right along there. And when you do you can go back and do these. You don't have to do them all. You could just draw that center line, the one that's buzzing, and then go back and put your flowers in. And that may seem so much easier to you. And the thing that you have an advantage on there is the fact that you're going back through that middle so many times that by the time you get to the end, let me show you what I do. So if I was going to add these on afterwards, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of go around in the center, like make a little dot, bring up my bobbin thread by bringing up the needle, pulling away, bringing it back. And then when I bring up that bobbin thread, this time, all I need to do is pull it up enough that it's out from the back. And then I can simply cut that off. And so it actually makes it easier for you to draw this line and then go back and put these in place. So again, simple ways to add borders. So I would encourage you to pick some of the Spinifex sets. We have a collection 1 and a collection 2 that have these smaller designs, and it really gives you a lot more capability. If I could get that off there, it'd look a whole lot better of what you can do for borders. Okay. All right. So what else was I got? Oh, I would know what I was going to show you tonight. Let's get another sheet of fabric here. Miss Ruthie, can I have a piece of my fabric? Yeah. Okay. The ladies will be glad you let me have that. She's laying on it. That's why I keep a lint roller right here. All right. So I'm going to incorporate several different templates so you can see why I recommend them the way I do. So this is the 6 point. And yes, I have an 8.5 6 point, but I'm going to show you why I like the little ones. Let's say you don't have one yet. This way you can draw your 6 points. You can rotate because I need 12 points because they have the same lines on them. So now I have my 12 points. I can take my longer ruler and I can draw my lines out. You want to make sure that you are getting them good and straight, because what looks like it's straight in the very center here, by the time it extends out, can be a different measurement. It looks like my thread was caught, so let's get that. So I always just come to the end here, make sure I'm straight through the center. All right, I think I'm long enough now for what I'm going to do. And so what I'm going to be doing is using, this is one of our Circles on Quilts rulers. And if you've never used one of these, I'm going to show you how I use it first and then show you the decorative part. So I'm going to come in here at 8. I really don't need these lines for what I'm doing right now. All right. But this is the way you use this. This allows you, by putting that pin in the center, to make a perfect circle. I'm at the 8. It has everything from 2 to 12 in the one set. You can even get an expansion set out to 18 inches. The way I use it is I start on the outside and sew to the inside. Now you need to pick which side of the finger are you going to push your template to. I push to the inside of the circle. So I'm pushing it on this side of that finger. So I'm just going to come around. When I do it the other way, I end up falling out of the end. So that's why this is perfect for me. Please comment and let us know how you're liking what you're learning on these, because our whole intent is just to give you some more, I call them basics, because a lot of times we assume, oh, everybody knows how to do that. And we don't. I learn something every time I watch somebody else do ruler work. So here we come. We're almost back to where we started. And in this case, I've got like 2 stitches. And I am simply going to do my knotting. You'll see it just go up and down and up and down. And then I'm going to pull that bobbin thread up and cut it just like I did a while ago. So I'm going to take this out of the way, bring up my needle, bring up my foot, pull away, come back to that spot. And then I am going to pull up the bobbin thread. And so now I don't have anything on the back. Well, I don't have sharp enough scissors, I guess. There we go. And now I have a perfect circle. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to come out to this 10. Now I could have gotten another one and come out to like 9 inches or whatever, but since I've got the 10 here, I think that's what I'm going to do. So I am going to start on this line, because my lines are going to mean something to me this time. And I'm going to stitch to the next line. And I'm going to just push this out of the way. And I'm going to get that star template. I'm going to put that right in there. I'm going to line it up. And I'm going to do a star. this could be any template. It could be anything you've got. It could be the Spinifex 4 if you want to. I'm going to bring it back, put the foot down first, bring it back, and stitch to the next line. Take this up, put this end underneath, line it up, and do my star. It just makes it so much fun and expands the use of your stuff you already may have, or gives you a reason to think, oh, I might really like to use that, because that was so easy to do that way. Line it up. And I could have done it with just 8 lines or with 4 lines or 6 lines, whatever you wanted. But since I had that small, that small crosshair square, I wanted you to see how to use that. So I think you get the idea here, and how this just expands again the things that you can do. And some of these I kind of consider basic templates because I do use them a lot. But if you've never used them and don't know what they're for, now you do. And I will tell you, I'm always looking for ideas. You got 2 weeks now before the next Odd Monday. If there's something you want to know how to use and you've never used it, or maybe you've got it and you don't know what to do with it, just send me an email so that way I can get ready for it and have my templates out and ready to go, because that's pretty much what this class was designed for. And you don't know how many times I go into places and I am told, I bought that template, but I don't know what to do with it. I'm loving this. Isn't that pretty how that's coming around? We only have a few more. Might as well finish it. I can tell you, when I first got that star template, I was no good at all with it. And it's one that after you have used it a little bit, well, what are you doing here? I want to sew. Put your foot down. Oh, I raised the presser foot. There we go. But sometimes it just takes a little bit of practice. I love those slots, the needle slots. I think you can see it from there much better than on the other side. So let me turn around that way to finish this. So much fun to have that perfect circle. and be able to push it out of the way easily. And then that way, all of these are a one start, one stop. So I don't have to tie off all those different times. And we're right back to where we started, but we need that finishing star. And again, I'm going to use my knot feature on my machine. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, I moved it all together. I think I caught it though. And then I'm going to pull up my needle to pull up my bobbin thread. And then I can trim all of those off. There's my bobbin thread right there. And this was my starting thread. And just like that, I don't know, almost looks like a compass, but we've got a circle of stars, and it's all one start and one stop. So I hope this has given you a little bit of an idea of some things you can use to do some of the templates you already have, or if not, you may want to invest in, as I said, some of these things because they are going to save you some money in the long run and make it so it's easy for you to make the different size. So we've got the mini crosshairs. This is the simple circle 1 inch. You can buy it by itself, or you can get the whole, I shouldn't say simple circle. It's the between the lines. You can get the whole set up to 4 inches, or if you want to go bigger, you can go bigger. And then, as I suggested, we have template sets that are collection 1 and collection 2 that have, I don't remember if it's 3 or 4 different of the mini spin effects in it. And then, of course, our circles on quilts and our spine template. Now, the spine template also comes, this is the 12 inch. You can get one, I believe it's the 10 inch. So it really, I like the 12 inch because then when I'm doing 2 different things, I can have one here and one there, or I still have room to put one in the center. So it just makes it nice for spreading out your designs. So, are you talking about Linda Lou? Are you talking about this little guy? I got these because they wrap your cords for your a computer, and I actually put one when I'm taking my sewing machine somewhere. I wrapped one of these around my sewing machine cord, and I just got them from Amazon. They're silicone cord wraps, probably magnetic cord wraps is probably what they're called. And the thing that I love about it is when you stretch it, it gets thinner, and then you can just take this off and on, and it makes it easy to hang on to them. But it's just one of those things that I had because I used it for my computer cords and things like that. But there's a lot of different uses, and it keeps these handy. I put them right up on my magnetic light bar here, so it makes it easy to have them handy. Let's see, any other questions as I look through here? I didn't mention the echo guides, so yeah, definitely echo guides also. All right. I am not going to be in Madison, and I'm not sure. I know it will be with Linda Z's. Linda Z's is and it may be Kate. So I'm not sure. I have not heard on that, but I think somebody will be there. All right. You said you noticed that I don't have stable tape on them. Oh yeah, stable tape's necessary. All mine have got stable tape. This one doesn't, because of the fact that you're spinning it. So it doesn't need tape. I got stable tape here and here. And these, because they are drawing tools, don't need stable tape. But, oh yeah, if I sit down to do a design without stable tape, I'm apologizing for the fact that these are the other two that I used. I have stable tape on them. But I'm apologizing for the fact that it's crooked, because that's usually what happens to me. This one, I usually have stable tape on it, but I quickly picked up one that didn't. So, but when I'm doing this, I usually have stable tape on it, especially when I was doing that cross hatching. I would have had that stable tape. So anyway, thanks for joining me, everyone. And as I said, if you have anything that you're wanting to see with a particular template, if I have them, I will get it for you and show you on whatever that next date would be. What, the 15th? No, 7th. Odd Monday would be the 15th. I think it's 2 weeks from today. So anyway, we will see you. Thank you so much. And have a great rest of your holiday weekend. And remember this, take time every day to do something that you enjoy. And for me, that's my ruler work. Bye now.